A pleasant day, everyone. I am Tiffany Joy Magdua and I will be tackling about the steps in Information Education Communication or IEC materials production. The learning outcome of this session is to identify the steps of IEC productions. Okay, let's begin. Step 1. Selecting the most appropriate IEC materials. The success and impact of IEC materials depends largely on the understanding of the target audience. How? Audience analysis based on problem, characteristics of each audience stage of behavior change, barriers of behavior change, key influences. Furthermore, the nature of the problem and media analysis is important. In this step, we need to identify the audience interests, concerns, issues, and what type or types of IEC materials appropriate to the audience or the persons involved in the discussions or topics and the flow of the activity or program. Step 2. Developing a creative brief. To identify what would be the best IEC materials to be used, and before beginning the actual design of IEC materials. Creative Brief or CB presents the core message or big idea and include target audience, objectives, obstacles, advice, and support statements, tone of the messages, and other creative considerations such as different language, versions, or social conditions. It is necessary to determine what are the appropriate IEC materials to be used for you to administer an effective delivery of information, and also you can choose the best IEC materials that suits the audience interests, concerns, and needs. CB or Creative Brief serves as a map or guidebook between IEC materials, development team, and the creative people, those who will draft the scripts, design the posters, and prepare the display. Step 3. Preparing draft of IEC materials or adapting existing materials. Adapting saves time and money provided that not reinvent the wheel. It means do something again from the beginning, especially in the needless or inefficient effort, for instance, in school committee. They need not to reinvent the wheel every time they try to improve the curriculum, or in a simple words, trying to solve a problem that has already been solved by someone else. In addition to that, please consider the following points. Number 1, does the material selected fit the audience learning style? Is the content limited to no more than a few concepts? Are concepts and messages presented in a simple and organized manner? Do visuals, photographs, and images correspond with the message in a way that is clear to the target audience? Is text written or narrated at an appropriate comprehension level? So in this step, preparing draft or preliminary version of your IEC is also important. You need to plan the appropriate materials or tools to be used in your IEC production. But how? Audience and media research, observations such as social gathering, health settings where IEC materials might be used. Observe the people, how they react to the materials and how they interact with each other concerning the materials. Step 4. Pretesting of the draft IEC materials. Help determine whether the material and message is acceptable to the intended target audience. People see, hear, and interpret messages according to their various backgrounds, education, and knowledge or perception. Pre-testing of draft IEC material ensures that the material is right from the audience perspective. What to test? So number 1, the understanding of the audience, the acceptance, attractiveness of your IEC materials, involvement, inducement action, and etc. Also, conducting a pretest is necessary to know the audience prior knowledge of the selected topic. Step 5. Assess pretest results and revise. Is it safe to assume that if 70% of the target audience understands message, would consider taking the action recommended and finds the IEC material attractive, acceptable, and believable, then the materials are successful. After the pretest, assessment should be conducted and implement the needed revisions or interventions to meet the needs of your audience or client. And also, you will know the possible questions and prepare for the possible answers if they have queries or if there are queries. If the assessment of pretest is unsuccessful, here are some guides to help you improve your IEC materials. Number 1, is there a clear rejection of the material? If so, why? Is there a general consensus that the material is ugly or culturally insensitive? If so, then why? Is there a gross incomprehension of words of a specific drawing or symbol? Which ones and why? The change may be the form, content of IEC materials. Next, step 6, monitoring the use and impact. Monitoring refers to the review and supervision of distribution and usage activities. Findings are used to improve distribution systems, the use of materials by health workers, and the future design of materials. Monitoring is a tool to identify and correct problems early enough to make changes and maximize the impact of the IEC materials. So lastly, you need to monitor the use of IEC materials by reviewing and supervising the distribution of the usage of materials. Characteristics of effective IEC materials. Create a distinct look and personality. So effective IEC materials are vivid or having an appealing personality. Number 1 is your IEC materials will be having an appealing personality for the audience. Stress the most compelling benefit, or the messages and design all must be speak with the same voice in design, the color, the text, and the narrative. So here in the stress the most compelling benefit, address real needs and problems facing the target audience. So you just focus in your topic or discussions. Next is generate trust, credible and believable images, and a solid information foundation. So dapat tama talaga and fact talaga yung binibigay mo na topic, or yung content ng topic mo is all about facts or naka-research talaga. Appeal to both the heart and the head. So a decision on the part of the target audience to try something new is not made entirely in the mind. Trials are often decided in part by an emotional response. Effective IEC materials and messages should be designed appeal to both the heart or emotions and the head or reason. Counseling. It is a confidential dialogue between a client and a healthcare provider aimed at enabling the client to cope with stress and take personal decisions related to disease. The aim of counseling is based on the needs of the client. Based on my observations, when the health workers conducted their seminars, one-on-one counseling should be done after the distribution or discussion of IEC materials. So counseling will be done after the IEC materials released. The elements of counseling. From the word gather, G. Greet the clients and make them comfortable and give full attention. A. Ask. Ascertain the needs, problems, or reasons for coming. C. Telling different choices, options, methods to cope with problem. Help, or H. Help the client to make voluntary decisions. E. Explain fully the chosen decision, action, and method. R. Return for follow-up visit. Group health education. An effective way of educating the community. The choice of subject is very important. It must be related direct to the interests of the group health. These methods are effective in promoting behavioral change, influences opinion, develop critical thinking, and increase motivation. Methods of group health education. Lectures, discussion methods, and demonstrations. So lectures, there are forms of lectures. The traditional lecture, participatory lectures, feedback lecture, and mediated lecture. Right now, I am using mediated lecture because I am using slides along with traditional methods. Next one is the discussion methods. Discussion methods are strategies or methods on how you will deliver your IEC materials to your audience or client. Later on, I will discuss further the different discussion methods. Next is the demonstrations. Demonstrations can be used with individuals and small groups. If the group is too large, members will not get a chance to practice the skill and ask questions. Okay, the discussion methods. Or here are the examples of discussion methods. Group discussion, symposium, conferences, campaign, panel discussion, colloquy, workshop, seminars, brainstorming, bus group, focus group discussion. So those are the following methods or strategies that will be used in our IEC materials production. Group discussion. Group size, 6 to 12 members. The participants are seated in a circle so that each is fully visible to all the others. Group leader initiates the subject. In group discussion, the participants have equal chance to express freely and exchange ideas. The subject of discussion is taken up and shared equally by all the members of the group. This method is extremely useful in health education. The advantages of group discussion or GD, it improves your thinking, listening, and speaking skills. It also promotes your confidence level. It is an effective tool in problem solving, decision making, and personality assessment. GD skills may ensure academic success, popularity, and good admission or job offer. The disadvantage of group discussion are time-consuming. It is time-consuming. It is difficult to fix responsibility in a group. Individual domination, and it need to arrive at a group decision sometimes results in a compromise. Next is symposium. Each person or expert presents an aspect of the subject briefly. Chairperson makes a comprehensive summary at the end. Series of speeches on a selected subjects. No discussion among the symposium members. The advantages of symposium are it provides the broad understanding of the topic or a problem. The opportunity is provided to the listeners to take decision about the problem. And it is used for higher classes to specific theme and problem. It develops the feeling of cooperation and adjustment. And in the end, audience may ask questions. The disadvantages of symposium are it does not provide adequate opportunity for all the students to participate actively. So it has limited audience participation. So those are the disadvantages of symposium. Next is Conference. Conference, it composed of 2 to 50 persons representing several organizations, departments, or points of view within an organization. Meet together, exhibit a common interest, and present 2 or more slides of their problems. They gather information and discuss mutual problems with a reasonable solution as the desirable end. Conference is a formal meeting or an association of athlete teams. For example, a meeting between a parent and a teacher, or PTA meeting, to discuss a student's progress. So another example of a conference is a group of college basketball teams in the same division. So conference is also a formal meeting. The advantages or the advantage of conferencing is it boosts productivity or production rather. And the disadvantage of conferencing, in some instances, it is open to disruption and time-consuming because meeting require a number of people to come together at the same time and place. So the difference between the symposium and conference is that a conference will be a larger event, and a symposium a smaller one. So those are the difference between the symposium and the conference. Next is campaign. A campaign is an intensive activity undertaken at an opportune moment for a brief period, focusing attention in a concerted manner towards a particular problem so as to stimulate the widest possible interest in the community. Campaign maximize their chances of success through the coordination of media efforts, with a mix of other interpersonal and community-based communication channels. So the advantage of campaign is that it has focused attention in a concerted manner towards a particular problem, and it is also used only after found acceptable to the local people. The disadvantages of campaign are only one person or group of persons are authorized to speak. It has no feedback and usually no interactions between the speaker and the audience or the participants, and more on convincing people. Panel discussion. 4 to 8 persons qualified to talk and discuss about a problem or a topic in front of a large people or audience. The panel comprises a chairman or a moderator from 4 to 8 speakers. Success of the panel discussion depends on chairperson to keep the train of thoughts off track. So panel discussion should be spontaneous and natural. The advantages of panel discussion are it often presents members with variant points of view on the topic selected. It has a diversity of opinion. It is an effective way to expose an audience to complex subject matter. The disadvantage of panel discussion are it is not easy to organize. Also, every expert is not necessarily an effective speaker. Someone who has the most insight on a topic may find himself being overshadowed by a panel member who is charming and humorous, even if that panel member has questionable views. Next is colloquy. It is an informal method of discourse which is a modified form of the panel, using one group of 3 to 4 persons from the audience and another group of 3 to 4 resources persons or experts on the subject to be considered. The panel members elected from the audience present the problem and the experts comment on various aspects of it. In colloquy method, the general audience and panel members participate whenever they so decide under the guidance of a moderator. An example of colloquy is when a group of people from the church get together to discuss the Bible and to theorize on scripture. So each member, or the audience and the speaker, is given a chance to share their ideas. Unlike the panel discussion, a colloquy is a modified panel of 6 to 8 persons, half of whom are experts and the rest are the audience. Next is workshop. Consists of series of meetings, usually 4 or more, with the emphasis on individual work within the group with the help of consultants and resource personnel. Learning takes place in a friendly, happy, and a democratic atmosphere under expert guidance. In workshop, participants get fully involved in the learning process. Small and large group discussions, activities and exercises, opportunities to practice applying the concepts that are presented. For example, workshop on CPR by presence of extensivists. So workshop is also an output-based method. So you need to have an output. The advantages of workshop are it may introduce a new idea, inspire participants to further explore it on their own, or may illustrate the promote actual process practice. So it is a great way to teach hands-on skills, as it gives learners opportunity to try out new methods and fail in a safe environment, or feel in a safe environment rather. The disadvantages of workshop are it may have difficulty getting a room if the venue space is in short supply. It may be hard to fit everything that you want to cover into a single workshop, and in handling large classes for hands-on practice may be difficult. Okay, next is seminar. Seminar is an instructional technique of higher learning which involves paper reading on a theme and followed by a group discussion to clarify the complex aspects of the theme. The difference between a seminar and a workshop is that a seminar tends to be held within one institution or university, and a seminar will be a small group of people, let's say between 5 to 10 attendees, who come together to focus on a particular issue. Often, seminars will be less formally structured rather than conferences. So one person might give a presentation, but it will probably be brief. There is more of a focus on discussion at these events. So do feel free to chime in with your thoughts on the topic rather at hand. Another difference between seminar and a conference is that while conferences usually last between few days and a week, seminars will be much shorter. They may be for an hour or two in the afternoon rather than lasting all day. Some departments will organize regular seminars. So, for example, you might meet on the first Monday of every month. The advantages of having seminars are it has numerous benefits, so including improving communication skills, gaining expert knowledge, networking with others, and renewing motivation and confidence. The disadvantages of seminar is that seminar costs a lot of money to run, and as a result, the cost of attending can be prohibitive to many potential attendees. A seminar itself is a good deal, however, other expenses like hotel accommodation, food, and travel are usually your responsibility, preventing many people from attending. So that's the disadvantages of seminar. Okay, next is brainstorming. Brainstorming is a group creativity technique by which efforts are made to find a conclusion for a specific problem by gathering a list of ideas spontaneously contributed by its member. So instead of discussing the problem at great length, are participants encouraged to make a list in a short period of time and all the ideas that come to their mind regarding the problems without discussing among themselves. Examples of brainstorming are round-robin brainstorming, mind mapping, step ladder technique, and etc. The advantage of brainstorming in a group is mutual stimulation of all participants. So, it allows people to think more freely without a fear of judgment. It encourages open and ongoing collaboration to solve problems and generate innovative ideas. A disadvantage is that the group will focus too quickly on a certain area. After collecting ideas through brainstorming, you have to sort the risks into further steps and roughly evaluate them. Next is the buzz group. Buzz group is a large group. Large group is divided into small groups of not more than 10 to 12 people in each small group, and they are given a time to discuss the problem. Then the whole group is reconvened, and the reporters of the small groups will report their findings and recommendation. Bus group are simply small groups of 3 to 4 students formed to discuss a topic for a short period. These groups may be assigned different topic to discuss. When students speak in private, they are much likely to speak afterwards in public in a whole group, or in the whole group rather. Bus sessions are short, focused, cross-functional, team session designed to get people involved, voice heard, and ideas captured for feeding great content into the strategic planning process. They are most often used when dealing with controversial subjects or difficult questions and problems. It is a small group, usually in 2 or 3. Okay, and the last one is focus group discussion, or FGD. FGD is a good way to gather together people from similar backgrounds or experiences to discuss a specific topic or of interest. It's one of the most popular qualitative research methods. The survey is carried out in several groups of not less than 6 and not more than 12 persons selected in accordance with the research aims. In FGD, there are only 5 to 6 questions that are carefully developed. The optimal duration of the group discussion is 1 to 5 to 2 hours. So FGD, or focus group discussion, are usually tools used by the advertising industry to measure the potential impact of the new product. It also used to gather some information like making a research in school improvement planning, or SIP. The advantages of FGDs are captures real-life data in a social environment, flexible, high face validity, speedy results, economical, and researcher can increase sample size for qualitative research. The disadvantages of FGDs are facilitator has less control, data more difficult to analyze, special skills required, nature of group varies, groups may be difficult to assemble, and venue must be conducive. So there are several approaches to teaching about specific subject. So each method has distinct advantages and disadvantages depending on the subject matter, the size and composition of the audience or class, and the resources available. So before I will end my presentation, I would like to share a quote to inspire you in making your IEC materials production. Knowledge is power. Information is liberating. Education is the premise of progress in every society and every family, by Kofi Annan. So I hope you enjoy this presentation, and thank you for listening. Be safe and God bless us all.